Educate, inspire, change. Educate yourself, inspire others, change the world. So in this podcast, I speak to my now good friend, Gerry Powell. Gerry Powell is the founder of Rythmia Life Advancement Centre, and I owe so much to this man, and I owe so much to Rythmia for reaching out to me a couple of years ago, which really started me on my plant medicine journey, which ultimately culminated in me creating this podcast. So I have a great debt to Gerry. Gerry's got a very, very interesting story himself. It's probably one of the most fascinating personal journeys I've ever heard in my life. So we speak a little bit about his own journey, what led him to doing plant medicine for the first time, and how he created Rythmia Life Advancement Centre. We then talk more about plant medicine in depth, where he sees it going in the future, what he sees in the future for Rythmia itself. And yeah, I mean, his journey is just, he's overcame so many huge obstacles. He's endured a lot of suffering, endured a lot of pain. I mean, this guy was worth $90 million at one point. He was a drug addict. He was an abuser. He admits he would beat up his wife. He was addicted to like all sorts of drugs, and he was just really an awful person. But thanks to plant medicine and thanks to his own perseverance, he overcame these obstacles. And he's now an amazing human who devotes his life to helping raise the consciousness of the planet by spreading plant medicine around the world. And I'm just really grateful to Gerry for what he does and for the rest of his team at Rythmia for what they do. And I really hope you enjoy the podcast. Hi, Gerry.
Hey, Kash.
Firstly, I want to start off by saying it's an honor and a privilege to have you on as a guest.
Oh, thank you.
You're the second guest I've had in this podcast show.
Fantastic.
And you've made such a big impact in my life this year that it's really important for me to be able to have this opportunity with you. I'm glad to be here at Rythmia Life Advancement Centre, the place that you created. How long ago is it now you created this place?
We bought this I signed the papers in 2014 and closed in 2015 and opened in 2016. But I want to say something too, Kash. You've been just a tremendous guest. And you work harder than anybody I know. I see you I see what you do and what you do with your life, and I'm proud to be a part of whatever you're doing.
Oh, thank you so much,
Very
man.
Good.
And a lot of my newfound work ethic comes from coming here in March. The first time I came here, I was in not the best place in the world.
Yes.
I was struggling with a lot of personal issues, and coming to your plant medicine retreat just gave me that feeling of being a part of a community, being part of a family, and it gave me a purpose,
Beautiful.
Which I'd kind of lost my way a little bit. So I owe a lot to the medicine, and I owe a lot to you for being able to facilitate that opportunity, Also, when I first came here, I heard a lot about you, and when I met you in person, your story really resonated deeply with me,
Yeah.
You went through a lot of pain, a lot of hardship, and I could see that in you, and you overcame that in the face of great adversity, with the help of the plants. So I think, obviously I know your story, but it's such a fantastic and powerful story. I think it's really important that people hear it.
Sure.
Because there's so many people out there who are probably suffering from addiction and illnesses and all these things that you had. And they maybe feel like there's no way out. So your story can be a source of inspiration.
I agree with that. Thank you for that.
If you want to give me a bit of insight into
Sure.
that.
So, the first thing that I want to say is that I'm in a business where I deal with a lot of thought leaders and evolved types of people, and I am not one. I'm not a thought leader. I wasn't special picked or chosen. I was just a guy that got in a very bad space and then had not an awakening, because that's kind of the wrong term, but I had an experience that changed how I looked at things. Yeah. So I was brought up in a pretty violent kind of household where women and children were hit and kicked out of schools and accused of criminal activity, and went to jail for a bit and got out and became successful in business. And then 20 years into it, had a high level of business success, and not that a lot of people haven't done a lot more. Many people have, but I got good where I was, in $70 million plus transactions all the time my end. So that I did good, but my life fell apart. I was a drug addict, injectable drug addict. But I was addicted to almost every kind of drugs. An alcoholic, greedy, self-centered, gambler, sex addict, just a bad guy. I was a bad guy, and I did try to commit suicide 2 times, and my life was just a wreck, and I mean a real wreck. I was a mad person. I was an angry person. I was a person that didn't like people, and I was super sad. At the end of the day, I was super, super sad. And so one thing led to another, and through an act of God, I got led to plant medicine. And I had an experience on plant medicine that in one night changed my life. I got to see that I was abused sexually as a child, and it explained to me what was wrong with me, and humbled me to tears and exposed me to the beauty of love. Wow. And in that night, I changed my life, and the medicine told me to buy a place and to open it up and to do this for other people. And I've spent the last 5 years doing that.
Wow. So you mentioned abuse there.
Yes.
So through the medicine, you were able to realize the source of your trauma.
Yes.
And so when you realized that you were abused, did the medicine immediately give you the ability to forgive?
It did, in the moment, without a moment's time.
It's a very powerful
yeah,
thing.
It gave you and once you understand the nature of life and the nature of evolution of ourselves, that this trauma is part of what we need in order to split from ourselves, and then the trauma will be looked at as a gift. And once you get it, you can't look at something that happened to you in a victim mentality and say, "Oh, that sucks," and that you can't. Because this was all done. This was all done to facilitate a split, and then until we're remerged, we keep running a replay of that split. So, and usually on a 7-year cycle. So, our mother leaves us. Let's say at 3, and now for the rest of our lives, every few years, we get to replay being left by a woman until we get to the point where we're frustrated enough to do something about it. And then we come across something that will allow us to remerge, and then that won't happen again. Crazy stuff.
Beautiful.
Yeah, good stuff.
So this retreat is an ayahuasca retreat.
I'd say it's a life advancement retreat.
Okay.
It's infused with ayahuasca.
Okay.
Yes.
Sure. And but initially the first medicine you took was iboga, is that correct?
Iboga.
So I want to know a bit more about that because I'm planning on doing iboga later this year. And I know I don't want to have too many expectations, but it'd be interesting to know your perspective on it. What the difference is between iboga and ayahuasca. And
so one's masculine and one's feminine.
Okay.
And the iboga can be more physically taxing, and it can be a rougher experience for many, and I mean much rougher. As a matter of fact, the iboga is what told us to use ayahuasca because it's gentler.
Okay.
So if you're not faced with like a hardcore addiction or something that's insurmountable, I would say to use ayahuasca. If you're addicted to heroin or oxys, then I would say to use iboga.
Okay. That's interesting.
In my opinion.
Of course.
Or if you're just a psychonaut and you want to try everything, then you have to put it on the list because, in my opinion, there are about 5 great teaching plants. So iboga, ayahuasca, San Pedro are absolutely great teaching plants that you have to hit.
Awesome.
If you're gonna go down that route of self-discovery.
Okay, interesting. And so, why Costa Rica? Like, why did you choose this area, or was it chosen for you?
Well, she told us to be in Costa Rica.
Really? She picked this place specifically?
This particular place.
That's amazing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So for a lot of people listening to this who maybe don't have much knowledge about plant medicines, they'll be thinking,
This is crazy.
this is crazy, yeah? so like, but you're just a normal guy, I'm just a normal guy, we come from normal backgrounds.
Absolutely.
You know, we had normal families.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden we come into this plant medicine and our minds are blown open, you know?
Absolutely.
So what's important to me is to try to introduce plant medicine to the West or to people who don't know about it in the right kind of way. You know, you don't want to scare them away too soon by just talking about aliens and all this crazy stuff.
I agree.
It's important to bring it to them in a gentler way so they can understand it a bit better.
About the aliens.
You shouldn't talk too much. I know. I've made that mistake a few times going back home mentioning aliens.
Yeah,
And
don't say it in a restaurant.
as soon as you mention that word, they don't take you seriously. Anything else you say.
I agree.
You know? Yeah. But so for me, like, I mean, obviously, like I suffered some trauma as a child and I had some issues with addiction and gambling, which is why I can relate to you. And the plant medicine just helped me to see who I've become, and it made me realize what I was, and then kind of helped me to reconnect to my childlike soul. So I started to love myself the same way I would love my children, you know? And this is what really helped me. And this is what made me look around myself at all my friends and all my family and just people around the world. And I thought the world really, really needs this, you know? So for me, that's actually the inspiration behind this very podcast, is because the medicine basically said to me that me and you are going to change the world. And
beautiful.
And that gave me the confidence to speak on camera.
Beautiful.
To kind of share my message, you know, as opposed to paying people to talk on my platform.
Yes.
I thought, I'm enough. I can talk myself.
You do a great job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So like people who suffer from mental health problems, people who suffer from trauma or have been victims of abuse, I can see how much they can benefit from the plants, you know?
Absolutely.
And I just want to hear a bit more about your take on that. So, because so many people, especially where I come from in Scotland, you know?
There's a lot of alcoholism and a lot of...
Exactly.
And what's interesting is not only does it help alcoholism and gambling, I'll bet you $50 it can fix you. No.
I'll take that back.
Not only does it help that, there's a whole section of the population that is walking dead. What I mean by walking dead is they're not alcoholics. They're not drug addicts. They're not gamblers. And they're living a life of quiet desperation. They work a normal job and come home. They're just as dead. Every bit as dead, if not more, than the alcoholic or the gambler or the drug addict. And the beautiful thing is the plant doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're a drug addict, doesn't care if you're a gambler, doesn't care if you're just stuck in life, doesn't care if you're frustrated, doesn't care if you're a sex addict, doesn't care if you're a pedophile, doesn't care. It just is pure love, and it works just the same on everyone. So I used to really side with, the gambler, the cocaine guy, and the alcoholic and the womanizer, because that was my guy. But the more that I hear the stories of people who are locked in a space of quiet desperation, their stories are every bit as sad.
Yeah.
A woman married for 15 years where she hasn't experienced love in her marriage for 12, and is a slave and working a job and taking care of the kids. When you hear some of these stories, you're like, how the fuck this lady didn't wind up on heroin, I don't know, you know? Yeah. So everybody's experience is unique and super sad to them. I haven't met one person, not one, who said to me, yeah, my life is great. Just great. Is raised just like I would want to be raised. Yeah. I went to the school that I wanted to school. I have my dream job, and I married the dream wife. Yeah. And by the way, I had 2 kids who are above average. Fucking life is perfect. You don't hear that. No. It doesn't occur in the real world. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So at the moment, obviously, plant medicines seem to be restricted to certain parts of the world.
Yes.
In the UK, certainly where I'm from, it's completely illegal. You know? It has to be underground there, you know, and it's never advertised, and it's very frowned upon, especially by normal people. They think it's a drug.
Yeah.
So part of My belief is that we have to change the stigma attached to plant
Absolutely.
medicine, and it's not a drug; it's a medicine,
Right.
You know, and it's not. It doesn't have addictive properties.
Not at all.
You know, there's if you compare it to like a drug like alcohol.
Oh my God.
And how many people die a year from alcohol? How many
Oh my
people
God.
have abuse or are violently attacked because of alcohol? You know, so and yeah, alcohol is completely legal. People give it to their kids. People give it when your 18th birthday.
Yeah.
People have it at weddings. It's almost like a daily routine for many people. You know, there's a pub on every corner in some streets. You know, in some cities in Glasgow and in Scotland and the UK. You know, which is crazy. You know, so I just want to find out why you think plant medicine isn't readily available, and I think from what I gather, it's becoming more available in certain parts of the world. Can you just give me some more information about that?
So my take on that is that these medicines were available, you know, for the past 5,000 years, with the exception of the last 70, and or less than 70, actually 50. I have to do my math, 50-ish, 60-ish, right? They fell out of favor during a time when LSD was starting to be used, and you had a hippie movement.
Yeah.
You had a war going on in Vietnam that lacked the support of the United States people in a big way. And government, I don't think it was a conspiracy. I just think government said, look at this shit. It's not time for people to be free thinking. This thing is taking off. Let's shut it fucking down.
Yeah.
Let's schedule all of this shit and then get back to the business of war. And then that happened, and it was a favorable play. You know, since that time, Big Pharma has gotten huge. It was a favorable play for Big Pharma. It wasn't engineered that way. It was a gift from the financial god for them. And now what you have is you've dysfunctional business systems and political systems in the largest countries and people are waking up. Kids are so fucking awake. It's crazy. This younger generation is just amazing people, dude. And to government systems, votes are more important than money because votes come before money. And so when they see that, hey, wait, these people are waking up. This is the direction. Do you remember Bill Clinton? I mean, he could change his own opinion on a second based on polls. These people are poll driven. So all of a sudden, a subsection of the population starts waking up, and that spreads to other parts, and they just see it. And then all of a sudden, what happens? Oakland says they're decriminalizing this stuff. Major cities are moving this way. It's going to correct itself. It's in the process of correcting itself.
It's a matter of time, eh?
It's a matter of time.
Yeah, awesome. And that really excites me, you know, because I have 2 young children of my own. And one of the things that ayahuasca made me feel is the need to get away from the city.
Absolutely.
So like I feel like I want to raise my children around nature. I feel like I want them to have influences around them. You know, I want to understand shamanism. I want to understand spirituality. All these kind of things that aren't really taught in school and aren't really a part of society in the West, you know. So it's a really important thing to me to know that plant medicine is going to become a bigger part of my life and of people around me, you know. So like there's a lot of people I speak to who are kind of a similar vein. They're talking to me about moving away. So like this Costa Rica is a blue zone. People who live here tend to live very old.
They do.
They live healthy. There's no stress. There's no anxiety.
Correct.
And stress and anxiety for me is a very, very big part of the reason why the world's so sick today, you know.
Me too.
It's the cause for almost all diseases.
Yep.
You know, obesity, cancers, all these things are related to stress and anxiety. Yeah?
Absolutely, yes.
So plant medicine is very much nature, isn't it? It's just concentrated drop of nature.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So like what would you say to people who are maybe living in the city and are thinking about going away, but maybe they don't have the means or the ability? How can they bring nature into their life, and how can they kind of practice mindfulness more to kind of be as close as they can to nature?
So thankfully, in most developed cities, there are parks. And I swear to you, I think more important than meditation, which is a big statement for me because I'm a fan of meditation. More important than meditation is communion with nature. And so if you have kids, bring them to the park. If you're alone, go to the park. If you can't get to the park, go to the water. Because the water is nature, right? So make it a practice. I mean, once a week, people find their way to a pub to have lunch, to a football game, to whatever. Skip that and take that hour and take the train to the park and be in the park and be alone with the tree and really just look at the wonder of a tree. And then get that feeling, because the more you can connect with nature, the more you connect with happiness in your own life.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you want to talk a bit about more specifically about ayahuasca and the experiences people can have on it, because right now, I mean, I'm in the middle of your retreat just now, and I've just had 3 ceremonies, In fact, I think I was on ayahuasca 5 hours ago, So like, I'm still kind of feeling medicine in me very much. And this week's been very profound for me, And every time I've been here 3 times this year. Every time seems to have been going a bit deeper each time, because each time I'm coming back as a new person. Of course. And so the medicine's able to go deeper within me each time. On Tuesday night, I was having a really hard time, I fell asleep, and as soon as I woke up, I had the first drink and I fell asleep. As soon as I woke up, I was in the middle of ayahuasca's arms. I was really deep and I was so lost and confused. I didn't realize how I got there. I kind of forgot who I was.
That scares me.
I was looking.
Were you scared?
Yeah, very. I was looking around the room thinking, what am I doing here? And I thought maybe it wasn't real. I thought maybe I was in some...
Did you think you might scream?
Yeah, I was kind of ready to ask for help and cry out for help, because I wasn't sure if I was dreaming or if I was still at home in Glasgow or if I was here in Costa Rica. I wasn't sure, And then as time went on, I realized, okay, I think I am in Gerry's retreat in Rythmia, and then I started to look outside and I could see what I thought was spaceships and stuff, and it was too much for me to take, and I started to purge really, really hard, and the purging went on for, I would say, a good 2 to 3 hours on and off.
Oh, beautiful.
Like I was in and out of the toilet, I was being sick in the bucket. At one point I was being sick and in the toilet at the same time.
That's fantastic.
And I was dying to get out of the toilet because I could see the toilet bowl turning into the head of a snake. It was really scary stuff, Then something happened. After that I went back to my bed, and a song came on, and just by instinct I started to whistle to the song, and I'm really bad at whistling, but I seemed to be really, really good this night, and I was whistling, and then someone else started.
That's great.
Someone else started whistling to me, and I realized we were bird calling.
How beautiful.
We were bird calling,
Yeah.
And then I felt like as the night went on, I was stretching my arms, I was bending my back, and I felt like I had wings, and I felt like I started to resonate really deeply with the bird, the animal, and I was going around the room and I was dancing with my arms spread apart, and people were saying to me, I was watching you, Kash, and you were ruffling your feathers, you were spreading your wings, you were like a bird, and it was really, really beautiful experience for me, because it's funny, my tattoos are all birds, I've got bird
I
there,
saw that on your neck.
I've got wings on my neck, and it's just so must resonate with me deeply, So this got me thinking about animals and the connection with DMT and the spirit world and all that kind of idea, And I spoke to you the other night at breakfast, and you resonate with, is it the lion?
Yeah, with the lion, yeah. I haven't looked like a lion.
You look like a lion, yeah. We even had a joke about the Wizard of Oz, yeah? So yeah, I want to know a bit more about that, and the connection with the animals and spirit animals and DMT and the kind of mystical side of ayahuasca, because I think people would be interested to hear about that.
Yeah, so I don't know, my scientific understanding of it is very small. My partner, Dr. Jeff, knows so much more about that. But I do notice that it's my belief that all of us may have started as plants or bacteria, and then into plants and our cellular stuff, then into plants, then into animals, then into humans. And I believe this because I've been the animal looking out in ceremony, where I'm actually the animal, just like you. And I think that's why we have these affinities towards certain animals. Just like you have an affinity towards people. This is the thing that ayahuasca taught me. When you see someone and you're like, before they say a word, I like or dislike that person. That's not from this experience. That's the first time you saw that person. You've been alive so many times that you know that person. And it's a recollection of something. And that's why certain people are scared of certain animals, huh? Because they have an intimate relationship with that animal. So you see a tiger and you're like, oh, fuck, I've been around them before, or this or that or the other thing. Is it too cold for you?
It's a bit chilly here, yeah.
Yeah,
But
can
okay.
I turn it down a second?
If you
Is that
like,
okay?
yeah, go ahead.
Alexa, turn AC off.
Thank you, man. It's okay, don't worry about it. It's fine. So where were we? We were talking about animals.
Yeah, so when you see that animal that you connect with,
Yeah.
you probably always had a fascination with birds
Yeah, I love them always.
because you were a bird.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember when I was a kid, and if I ever went to a high up place, like if I was looking over the edge of a cliff, my instinct would be to go off.
To jump.
Yeah.
That's that bird mentality.
Yeah, exactly. I just
very
wanted to
good.
go. I felt like I could fly, But it's strange. It's kind of scared me in case one day I did it, because it was quite, it's just, and I always resonated with birds. So yeah, it's beautiful to have had that experience, And also one of the nights, I asked ayahuasca to bless me with knowledge, just because we're doing these podcasts, we're making video content, so I want to be able to give information to people in a kind of eloquent, and I want to be accurate, So I said to ayahuasca, bless me with knowledge and shine your light through me, use me as a vessel, So, and then what happened was, it was the most surreal thing, I was lying down and I was on my stomach, and I felt like something had fallen on my head. I swear to God,
Like something hit you in the head.
Hit me on the head, physically hit me in the head. And then I looked around, and because it was dark, I couldn't make out what it was, but it looked like what was a little gecko on my bed, So I went to the shaman. I said, I think a gecko fell on my head, Can you explain to me what this is about? And then they went back to my bed to check, and the shaman brought back a little feather, He went, oh, just a little gift. And I went, no way. And I was like, that's crazy, Like, how did that happen? And they went, just don't worry about it. It's a gift, And then I spent like an hour.
So a feather hit you in the head.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Is that mad?
And wild.
In the middle of an ayahuasca ceremony in a building,
Yeah.
So then I'm kind of going. I went to Maiku, the animal communicator.
Yeah, I love Maiku.
She's amazing. So I went up to her and I tried to ask her what this might mean, an explanation. I went up to the shaman as well, and they all kept saying to me, Kash, sometimes you don't need to know the answers.
Correct.
Sometimes just being grateful and accepting the gift is enough, And that really resonated with me deeply because, sometimes you don't need to know the truth, I'm passionate about the truth. My business, Educate, Inspire, Change, is all about sharing truth, yeah? But sometimes you forget, you're too busy looking for the truth that you forget to live in the moment and just be present,
Yes.
And that's one of the great lessons of the medicine for me, Just I thought it was a beautiful experience, and I wanted to kind of share that with you. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's a classic experience.
Isn't it?
And that's so interesting with plant medicine because our monkey mind, like our conscious mind and our ego, want to figure it out.
Yeah.
And yet they don't have the tools to do it.
Yeah.
Because it was something much bigger, much older.
Yeah.
That occurs.
Yeah.
What's so crazy is every time that I talk to somebody who does it the first time, and they're like, no, I got transported into this place and I saw a guy who was half elephant and half man, and they tell me this whole story. And I say, were you shocked by it? And they always say, no, it was something I already knew. I've seen it before.
Yeah.
Crazy shit.
Yeah, it really is. There's an ancient wisdom to ayahuasca.
They're so old. It's
really
so
ancient,
old.
isn't it?
It's so old.
Beautiful.
It's,
Yeah.
crazy.
That leads me to, I'm looking at this picture behind you, the ankh.
Yeah, that's my stuff.
That's your thing, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that when I saw you, you're the first person that I saw with the ankh. And it made me research it a little bit. So obviously it's an ancient Egyptian symbol, and some people even think it might be even more ancient than that. And it really resonates deeply with me, the meaning behind it.
Me too.
And it's beautiful, and it's going to be my next tattoo.
I love that.
Yeah. So
Let's collect them.
Can you tell me a little bit about the ankh?
Well, you see, because I know that it's the Egyptian symbol of life, and I know the story behind that.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me is when plant medicine drew it for me, and she said it was the symbol of your merged soul.
Wow.
That it's a symbol of wholeness. That's what that is, a symbol of the whole you. And that gives me goosebumps. I love that stuff. So I fell in love with it, and I see it everywhere in the astrals. When I journey, I see that ankh everywhere.
That's amazing.
Everywhere.
That's amazing. So part of my journey is, as you know, we're filming a documentary here. And we're here at Rythmia to start off the documentary, and then I'm going to a couple other retreats and a Boga retreat.
Fantastic.
And whatnot. But I want to showcase the difference in different kinds of retreats. So here you have it's like a 5-star luxury resort, yeah?
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot of people here each week.
Yes.
So it's a large ceremony space. There's lots of staff, psychologists, medical teams. So it's like a very, very safe, controlled,
Yes.
beautiful environment where it's all dedicated to healing. Then there's other retreats which are more focused on the individual, which
Yep.
are just a kind of a personal healing.
Yep.
It might be in the jungle with a shaman and 2 people, you know.
Correct.
And they obviously both have their own ways of healing and
Yes.
purposes. But my experience so far has only been of this one,
Uh-huh.
and it's been truly beautiful. And not only have I been receiving the medicine, but I've also received a new family. You know?
I love that.
So the
Yeah.
benefit, I've got so many people I can look at my phone and call them family now, you know. It's like
Absolutely.
at least 15 new family members,
Yes.
and it's beautiful. So that's been a big takeaway from me from Rythmia.
Uh-huh.
And also what I realized was people from where I'm from in the UK or even in America, they might be too scared to do ayahuasca in the jungle alone
Yeah.
with a shaman, you know,
Yes.
especially people who are maybe older or people who, you know, are very anxious or have anxiety, because people who want to do medicine maybe suffer from mental problems, yeah?
They can. Yeah.
So they would struggle to go to the jungle perhaps by themselves, or there would be fear. So this kind of place gives them another option,
Yes.
doesn't it?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like you to tell me a bit more about
Yeah.
that.
So we believe that we keep data on everything, and when I say on everything, I mean on everything. We keep very accurate data on things, and we found that ceremony size does have to do with user experience. So, and it's actually the opposite of what we think. The more people in a ceremony, the more ceremonial energy is, and the more cleansing occurs, the more completion occurs in around the 93-ish kind of mark of people in a ceremony. And the other factor with that is the amount of helpers per person in ceremony. We have probably 60-some thousand data points, and there's a marked difference between a low people amount in ceremony and a high. And it's counterintuitive. The more people in ceremony, the higher the healing, not the less. And I want to say something about this. So for those of you that have done medicine in the jungle, it's a lot for a Westerner. It's a lot for someone from a major city to be sitting in a jungle with things that crawl and do all these things and deal with the all of what's going on within the plant ceremony. So it's different. People that were born in the Amazon getting crawled over by a centipede or ants or something even worse is second nature to them. For you take a guy out of Brooklyn and put him on the floor of the canopy and have some bunch of insects crawling on him while he's in a ayahuasca ceremony, that's a different experience. So we kind of made this place so that it's seamless. So it's super clean, staffed by medically licensed people, doctors, nurses, EMTs, around the clock, clean beds, clean sheets, creature comfort, swimming pools, world-class spa, colonics, like farm-to-table organic food served for you, it's a whole experience. And nothing against, listen, I say, everybody has to do, if you want to be a psychonaut and you want to try it both ways, do it here once, do it in the jungle once, make up your mind. I'm going to tell you something. We are TripAdvisor's #1 customer rated resort in the world.
Wow.
So that's like, we're better than the Waldorf Astoria. How can that be? We're better than the Four Seasons. We're da-da-da-da-da. And it's because, and that's not on 200 reviews. We're about to go over 1,000 reviews on TripAdvisor, probably this month. And, it's because that we've really, really dialed in the experience. Really have. And you'll see it when you go somewhere else. And I want you to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what's the future for you, Gerry? Do you see yourself, this is for the rest of your life, your calling, you found your calling, is ayahuasca, the plant medicine?
Yep.
Do you think you might branch out into other plants? Do you think there might be maybe more places like this that you're running?
Yeah, well, listen, I hope that other people open up places like this around the world. That would be my I don't know, my life's purpose would be to inspire other people to do this. For me, I'm 56 years old, and I'm super happy with what I'm doing. And as a matter of fact, it's the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. I've run big companies in my life, and this little company is so challenging. I never had a business that I knew my customers. I never did. This is the first business where I actually know the people who are my customers. And so it's a beautiful life for me. I get to see this change every week, and people, if you're selling someone, I used to be in the plastic surgery business. If you're selling someone a new pair of breasts and it goes incredibly well, they might say, "Hi, thanks for the breasts." But when you're giving what we give here, and these people have this happen, when they're done, they say, "Gerry, if there's anything I can ever do for you for the rest of my life, I'm a phone call away." I got 6,000 of those. By next year, we'll have 10,000 of those of people who will do anything. They're that happy. Well, what kind of gift from God was that to someone who's not deserving of anything?
Beautiful.
I just feel so humbled and blessed to have this. I mean, this is, I couldn't ask for more.
Awesome. I mean, my intention with this podcast is that we're going to be interviewing lots of guests over the coming, weeks and years. And obviously, because it's such a profound experience for me, I want to share it with them as well.
Fantastic.
And the hope that maybe people with a higher kind of, a big following and status can start to educate people and inspire them on plant medicine,
I love that.
And I think this kind of place is the ideal place to facilitate kind of, celebrities or people like that.
I would think so.
I think it'd be beautiful. So I think there's a lot of potential there. I can see me being back here a lot in the future and us doing lots of stuff together.
I would love that.
It really excites me, One other thing I want to touch on though is there are some people who maybe couldn't afford to come somewhere like here.
Yes.
So I know that you've been doing things behind the scenes to try to facilitate that. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, we just launched a scholarship program that's it's about almost $500,000 a year in giveaways for people that are underserved or in a bad position that want to experience this. So they just go to the Rythmia website and they go to the scholarship program button and they fill in the information, and then those applications are reviewed and people are selected based on their worthiness and their personal situation. And we want to continue to do that for every year to come because everybody should be able to experience this. If this is too expensive for you, there are places that you can do this for less money. And we suggest that even if it's not ideal, having a bad plant experience is better than having 20 years of psychotherapy. It really is, because even a bad experience has such teachings in it. So I mean, I'm all for more people experiencing plant medicine in general. And listen, before you do that, apply for the scholarship, because I'd love you to come to a place that I think makes a very significant impact on people.
Beautiful.
And that's this place.
Beautiful. Okay, so I mean, I think for me, talking to you, like there's a lot people can take away from this podcast because you've overcame a lot in your own life. So people can be inspired by your personal story. They can also be inspired by the thought that there's another solution out there, because many people who maybe don't know about plant medicine,
I know.
So who maybe are suffering and struggling.
I hate that.
It's important that they know there are choices, and you don't have to do antidepressants. You don't have to go to therapy. You can come to a place like this and you can heal yourself.
True.
So I think it's a beautiful message that we're creating here together today in this podcast.
I do too, and I just want to talk to those people that if you're hearing this thing and you're thinking, oh, that's bullshit and da 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 da, I want to tell you not to give up, because it's really real. This is something that happens to people. About 951.2 out of every 1,000 people have this life-changing experience, and then 97.55% of them 6 months later report that it's still working in their life and that this was the week that changed their life. That's crazy stuff. So please don't give up. There's an answer. There really is.
What a great note to end on, Gerry. It's been a privilege, my man. Thank you so much.
It's been my privilege.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kash.
Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts.